This is Monica,
Hey, this is Melody.
and welcome to the Invisible Women Podcast.
Hello, IW listeners. We're back at it again, and we have with us the amazing Dr. Tega, who is a coach has a passion for helping women find their happy and fulfilling in their careers.
Yes, we are so excited. Welcome, welcome. So, Dr. Tega, let's get right into it. Can you tell our listeners who you are, what you do, and why?
For sure. Yes. Hi. Thanks again for having me on
Of
here.
course.
I'm Dr. Tega Edwin. I'm a career counselor and coach, and I help women who are unhappy at work get super clear about who they are so they can find a fulfilling career and job search with confidence. The why, oh gosh, the why is such a big story, but if I put it in the short form, I just know one, I had my own experience being one in an unfulfilling career path, but then after working as a career counselor in agencies for a while, I just noticed that a lot of women are often disenfranchised at work. They are making choices based off of what society thinks, or a partner, or a family. They get less resources at work. They get less teaching in how to advocate for themselves. And so I really made it my mission to help more women experience the sort of joy, satisfaction, and confidence that comes from being in a fulfilling career.
Wow, that is amazing. And you kind of just spoke to me. And so I just want to mention the one thing we do here. This is our motto at the Invisible Women Podcast. We do well, we reclaim our time, we reclaim our power, and we reclaim our confidence. And so we are really excited because we think that that's exactly what you're here to do. And, I don't want to take over the show, but I can remember so many times in my career where I was unhappy. I was very confused. I almost felt very disturbed, for lack of better words, because your work is your livelihood. And when you're not happy with a big portion of the pie in your life, everything else is not going to be fruitful either. So I guess my main question would be, what are the major red flags when you're unhappy at work or you're no longer fulfilled in your career or your job? Like, what are those telltale signs?
Mm-hmm. I would say the three main ones that can be broken down to look different for each person is when your physical health starts getting impacted, when your mental health starts getting impacted, and when your relationships start getting impacted. So, on the physical health side, research has shown that being in an unfulfilling career, experiencing work stress leads to things like weight loss, weight gain, hair falling out, skin issues, sleep issues, diarrhea, constipation, right? Like your body literally just starts giving out. On the mental health side, we see things like high levels of anxiety, depression, mood swings, lack of creativity. And then on the relational side, we see like lower sex drive. Research shows that people who are in work that they're not happy in have higher divorce rates than those who are in work that they are happy in. And just anecdotally, it's things like you said, we spend most of our time at work. And so what I always tell people is, if you're in a job that's making you feel stuck, confused, frustrated, devalued, when you leave work, those feelings don't just disappear. They come home with you. And what you find is that you're not taking it out on your loved ones. And so your relationships start to suffer. So for me, those are always the major signs is when your health and your relationships are starting to be affected, it's time to go.
Wow. That was a lot. And those are very true. And I would say that from personal experience that, when I was going through unhappy times on my job, like you said, feeling devalued, just feeling like, they didn't see my worth. And at the time I was trying to figure out, well, what is my worth as well? Why am I still here? And like you said, I feel like we spend a good amount of our time on our jobs. Like, our job, even though we hate to admit it, our coworkers and our managers, they kind of become our family in a way. You don't even really care for them as much because you find that you spend more time with them sometimes than you do at home, right? With your family and friends. And so I think that's very important that if that's where we're going to be spending most of our time, that we do find some happy. And like I said, I know personally for me, there probably was times that I could account for I was bringing that burden home, and probably your friends and family are like, could you quit talking about what's going on? And so it's great to know that people can seek outside sources like yourself, because we don't want to boggle down our friends and family with that, right? Because sometimes they're just being supportive, but it's like, where do we go next with it? So I think that that's really, really amazing. That you're really doing the work that you do. So once we do figure out we're going through those things, what is kind of the next step that you would advise a woman dealing with that on the job?
Yeah. Start creating your exit plan. I mean, once you figure out that where you are is no longer working, and if you not only figure out that it's not working, but you know that it can't work. Because what I've seen happen is there are women who know it can't work, but they're still trying to make it work, especially
Yeah.
Black women, because it's like, oh, I don't want to be a quitter. I don't want it to seem like I gave up. I just want to prove myself.
Talking to
I just
me.
want to prove myself. And it's really that prove myself piece, because I remember I had a client say that clearly once, and I'm like, okay, you're in a place that is not fulfilling. It literally doesn't make sense that you're trying to prove yourself on something that you don't like.
Yeah.
Like, math ain't mathing. But anyway, once you figure out that you can't make it work, that it's just not aligned, it's time to create your exit plan. And that comes with clarity and strategy. So really, the clarity piece, the way I work with clients, we always talk about, you have to clarify three main things: your non-negotiable values, your zone of genius interest areas, and your high power skills. Because once you clarify those things, it makes it easier to figure out what kind of career paths are going to be most aligned for you. And then you start doing your research while also building your network, building connections. Do the research so that you can navigate out of where you are and into somewhere else, but doing it with clarity and confidence.
Wow. Wow. And I'm just thinking about, so you mentioned one thing a little bit earlier about the mental health piece of it. I can remember there was a time where I was experiencing something. I was literally crying every day on the pathway before walking in the door. I was crying. Right when I hit the door to scan my badge to get into the suite, I would clear it all up. And if you think about it, that is so mentally unhealthy. But again, I was trying to prove myself. I was trying to say, I need to stay here. I'm finally where I want to be. I'm a senior billing manager. The next level for me is supposed to be a director. You just feel like you're supposed to be taking those steps, because I think that it's true for Black women. We're hyper focused. We're very ambitious. We have the skills to lead. And when we get into these crunches, we still feel like, oh, I can make it work. And like you said, sometimes it's just not worth it because it's just tearing at you. And so I guess in a way, I mean, I'm rebuilt and I'm reclaimed now. But when it first happened, I can truly say that my confidence was down. Even though I come from a home where we were taught that, we were pumped, I felt good about myself. But after that particular experience, I felt like, do I really know what I'm doing? Am I really as good as I think I am? Am I really as smart as I think I am? So how would a woman reclaim that confidence? How would you get your esteem back to that level that it once was at pre your situation on the job?
Yeah, I think it's a journey, because the job broke you down step by step. You're not going to build yourself back up in one fell swoop. And so that's the first step, is realizing that it's a journey and giving yourself grace in that journey back to where you want to be. I strongly believe that external messages matter in that journey, because when you said, for example, this is what I'm supposed to do. If you're my client, I'd be like, why are you supposed to do that? That would be the question. Who said that? Who told you that?
That's what my parents are doing. They're moving out. They're going to senior manager.
But and so usually external messages are what broke us down. And honestly, we need both internal and external messages to build us back up. But sometimes we need those. And when I say external messages, so it's surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and speak life into you. Working with a professional. Black women are so notorious for being shy of investing in themselves and their career. And it's like, sometimes you really need someone to objectively look at you and say, girl, you're dope. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you just need, because here's the thing, because when your loved ones say it, you're like, in your head, you say thank you, but it's like, oh, you love me. You have to say
you love me. Exactly.
If someone who doesn't know you is saying that to you, a part of you has to pause and take notice. Like, wait, am I dope? And so I think just doing that, affirming yourself. I'm a big, that's what that is. Like, I'm a big fan of affirmations. And I think a lot of times people don't use affirmations in their careers. And really, I know, like, because I tell my clients the story, I used to be very skeptical of affirmations. I'm like, I'm not going to stand in front of a mirror and be like, I am smart. Like, that's just awkward. But eventually I realized that affirmation is just a declaration of my faith. It is speaking what isn't as though it was. That's all it is. And so really speaking that life back into yourself, because the internal journey is the biggest part of it. And so all of that, it takes time. But I think when you start getting those positive messages, those positive inputs over and over and over, at some point, your brain is just going to be like, I believe it.
Right. Definitely. Manifestation.
Yes, yes. And we're real big on affirming what we want as well here at Invisible Women. And, you know, one of the things that definitely touched me is, you know, you said knowing that you're dope, because at times, when we get devalued, we question a lot, right? And we don't even see, like, if you think about it, it's like your job hired you on for a reason. They seen something in you initially, right? But over that time, sometimes they'll tend to break you down. And it's specifically a lot of times for Black women, because it's like, they don't want you to see how great you are so they can keep you at a level. And you have to understand that, to say, you know, when it's time for me to excel, when it's time for me to move to that next level, if it's not here, then it may be time to go. And I'm really, really glad that you touched on that exit plan, because I know for myself, there was a job that I was working at the time. It was an amazing company. And like you said, someone had a meme one time that said, the job that you work at, we may experience it differently. You may say, oh, I love this place.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking, oh, please, they are like tearing me down, right? And so we can experience it very differently. And so you have to understand that, no, when I'm no longer being valued, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. It may mean that my time here is up. No different than just being in a relationship where it's time to move on, right? We have to treat all of our ships, as they say, the same. You know, people don't see your value. I'm not here to try to explain that to you. I know what I bring to the table. Let's move on and go somewhere where we can continue to excel.
I love that.
I love it.
That's so true.
Yeah, and because I kind of beat myself up now, because like you mentioned, we need to invest in ourselves professionally. We need to seek professionals, therapists, doctors like yourself that can help us navigate these experiences, because we try to do it on our own. We try to do it with family. We try to do it with friends. But again, you need to hear a third party that's looking on the outside and telling you, okay, this is the way that you can move differently, or these are your options. Because sometimes it's in our head. We think we know the options, like I thought, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But had I been working with you, you could have been like, wait a minute, girl, let's check ourselves. Let's bring it back a little bit and let's think about this. So, and that's why I know that this is our passion, just what we do on Invisible Women, having conversations like this, because trust me, there's some woman, there's some man out there that's at a job in their career. They don't know what to do. And they just might need to seek out a person just like Dr. Tega. And so that's why we do it. That's why we do it. And so I guess the other things are, what role does mental health play for Black women dealing with challenges at work? The trauma, the depression. I know you mentioned it earlier, it affects your relationships, it affects your home, but what else does it do to us? What else?
I think we already touched on that, in that it just breaks you down. Like when you talked about that, you know, questioning yourself, do I know what I'm doing? Am I confused? That's typical symptom of being in an unfulfilling career, where when you're in spaces where, one, you're not using your high power. So high power skills are those skills that you genuinely enjoy, not just the things you're good at. Because a lot of times people assume because I'm good at it, I should be doing it. But I'm like, if you do anything long enough, you will become good at it, even the things you don't like. So those two things are not the same. So the skills you actually enjoy, when you're using skills that you don't enjoy using, that don't come naturally to you or that give you joy, each time that you're working and using these other skills, it's literally like this it's like you're pushing a rock up a hill. It's this constant uphill battle where you never get moments where you just feel good about yourself, because dang, like I did that. Like, you never get those moments.
Yeah.
And so that constant challenge of going uphill starts to make you think, well, do I really know what I'm doing? Yeah. And then when you're in companies that don't align with your value, whatever your non-negotiable values are, where they are constantly violating your value, then it's, wait, do I really matter? Do I really have value? Because people aren't treating me like that. Sure. And then when you're doing work that's not aligned with your interest, where it doesn't engage you, doesn't excite you, then you're going through the motions, you're bored, you're just like, I can do this. Like, I'm not even motivated. And especially, and that really, like, that's it's almost like a death trap for high achieving women,
yes.
Because it's like you've lost any zest to show up in excellence at work, but there's a part of your brain that constantly is like, I know I can do more, I know I'm better, but I don't have the energy to do better. I literally don't care about this job. And so all those things come together. to literally, like we said earlier, just tears you down. It's like you
Mm.
stop seeing your value, you stop seeing your awesomeness, you stop seeing your worth, and you just forget, frankly, who you are. You forget who you were created to be. And then you start showing up in the world as a lesser version of yourself. You stop walking in purpose. And if you stay like that, if nothing comes to interrupt that motion, over time you just whittle away.
Yes.
So, question I have for you that you mentioned about, we can be doing a job for so long, we come good at it, right? And we think that that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I know for myself, like I have a career in finance and being fun. I've done that for 20 plus years in corporate America. I love it because I know how to do it. I'm good at it, I would say. But, empowering women, doing what I'm doing here is really like makes me
That's your
go
passion.
bed at night. But for other women, like if you are at that point where you're trying to transition, you're trying to find like, what is my purpose? What's some tips that you would advise women to say, just because this is what you've been doing for however long and you think you become the expert, how can you figure out what my next step is as you're planning that exit plan, as you say, so you can get fulfilled?
Yeah. And I love that you switched and said next step. So I'm going to step on a soapbox real quick because you said,
Okay.
what is my purpose? And that's one thing I notice has keeps a lot of women stuck. They'll say, I'm trying to find my passion or I'm trying to figure out my purpose. And I just, once I figure out my passion and my purpose, then I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, two things. One, this is usually my own lens, this first part. As a woman of faith, for me, it's we all have one purpose. It's to glorify God. So I don't need to find my purpose or figure it out. God already gave me a purpose. It's to glorify him.
Say a lot of people in the back.
And then two, passion. Your passion is not a set of keys that you lost. You don't find your passion. Your passion is the fruit that grows out of the seed that is your interest. Okay. So what you need to do is figure out your interest. What are the different, and we all have many interests. What are the different things that interest you? Right. So the analogy I always use is the interest is the seed. And the same way a farmer plants a seed and then they have to, water the seed, toil the seed, weed, like work at it so that then as the roots grow deeper, eventually we'll see the tree start to come out. That's what your interest are, where you find an interest and it's like, let's take it out for example, whether it's we like telling Black women stories, or I'm sure filmmaking came in there somewhere. You did this documentary, and my guess is in the process of filming the documentary, that was you working at that interest, and the roots were going deeper. We're like, we really love talking to Black women, we really love highlighting Black women in this format. Yes. And then the passion came out, the podcast, the documentary, submitting to full film festivals. And so your passion comes out of interest, but it's when you work at an interest where you invest in it, you read about it, you learn about it, you research it. That's the roots going deeper. Eventually you like, one day you look like, I am really passionate about this thing. Like I love what I'm doing. Right. And so I just wanted to put that out there because I know those two things keep a lot of people stuck, because it's like they're waiting for this aha moment, like this is my passion, and it's like, nah, sis, it's not just gonna fall on you from heaven. Hit you in the head. How this works.
Yeah, it's not magic.
Well, we always want everything quick, fast, that magic pill, right? So you got to work at it, like you say.
And so, putting that aside, then to your question, the next step. So it is then doing the work, figuring out, okay, let me look back on different moments of my life, whether it was previous jobs or even outside, because another mistake we make is we try to look at our previous jobs to determine what our next job is. And so I'm like, well, if you've hated every job, why do you think that's going to tell you the next thing?
That's key.
It don't make sense.
It don't make sense.
So we can look at parts of our previous jobs to see where that thing, maybe I enjoyed doing the presentations. Everything else sucked. When I was putting a presentation together, that lit me up. Or when I had to talk to clients, I really enjoyed that part of things. So you find pieces, but then also look outside of work. What are the things that light you up when you're not at work? Where do you find joy? What brings you light? What are you curious about? And then those are those interests that, okay, let me research this some more and see if I can make a thing out of this, if I can make a livelihood out of this. And then what does this intersect with the skills I enjoy using and my values, knowing fully well that you can always develop new skills. Okay, skills are not finite. If you realize, okay, you know what, I want to go in this direction, but I don't have the skills, go develop the skills. You can do that. And so I think it's getting that clarity is what, once you realize that this is not working for me, you have to first decide I'm going to do something else. And then you start taking the action to do something else.
Well, one thing that really stuck out was that investing in yourself, for sure. Sometimes we always want people to pour into us, but investing in yourself, like I said, if you don't have a certain skill set, hey, invest in it. You don't have to go back to school to a 4-year program. Maybe it's just a certification. Nope. Maybe it's an online. These days they have so many online programs through Groupon, whatever. You might want to, expand on a certain skill. So I think that's really, really great. Now let me ask you a question. Do you assist women with revamping their resumes? Because a lot of times I've heard people say that's the reason why they do not leave jobs, because they're like,
wow,
been doing this job for 15 years. I don't even know where to start. Like my resume is so old school. Things that we got LinkedIn now. We got so many other avenues that have to really, expand, show ourselves and our skill sets that you might get stuck. So it's like, I'll just stay where I'm at. So
Yep. That is one thing that keeps me. It's like just the entire job. You're like, this job search thing is stressful.
It can. Pick your poison. Stay on the job or update.
I'm like, I know it's stressful. It's stressful when you don't have strategy or the right mindset.
That's key.
When you get the right support, it's not stressful. It's a lot of work. A lot of work doesn't always mean stress. And I'm like, okay, but you literally know that where you are isn't working for you. It doesn't make sense to stay. Like, go find the support you need to leave. But that being said, to answer your question, so in my program, Job Search Simplified, I work with women on their resume. I don't do resume standalone, but because I'm more of a holistic job search support, because the resume alone is not going to get you where you're trying to go. So when I coach women in their job search, yes, we work on their resume in that sense.
Oh, that is amazing. And Millie, that's a good point that you brought up about resumes, because, I see people that have those thick, long paragraphs, and it's like, wait a minute, put your system on first.
Ain't nobody reading that.
Well, because everything is so aggregated, they're just putting in keywords, and if you don't pop up, you are out of the game already before you even got a chance, And then, this is so beautiful. This is so good. This is so good, Dr. Tega. So, okay, one of my last questions would be about LinkedIn, because Melly and I have this conversation often. Now, I have LinkedIn friends. I have a bunch of friends on LinkedIn. I never put my picture on LinkedIn. I do have my quick summary about what I do. And I do have my companies that I've worked at, because obviously that's how you link up with peers and coworkers and cross-functional teams. But she has her picture on her LinkedIn, and she's like, yeah, I'll put my picture. Of course, they're going to see you anyway. I feel like it's worked for me. I don't know if it's me just like, give me a shot before I'm a black woman or what, but
I'm a black woman.
It worked for me. I mean, when I walked in there, they're like, oh, okay, Monica, great. We're looking at your resume and you line up. So, hey, let's do it. What do you think about that? Picture or no picture?
It depends on what you're using LinkedIn for. If you're trying to use LinkedIn to get opportunities, nobody wants to connect with the gray square. People connect with people.
Thank you.
And so definitely picture. Now, if you are just maybe using LinkedIn to just connect with people who already know you, then I would say if they know, like they already know who Monica is, then no picture needed. But most people who are on LinkedIn are trying to get opportunities, get hired, build their network. And we are in the age of people wanting to connect with people. And I connect with you more when I see you, when I know who you are. I mean, that's why now LinkedIn, apart from the picture, LinkedIn even has this thing now where you can record a quick intro video. So when people go to your page, instead of your picture, if they tap it, it'll show you introducing yourself, because people want to connect with this, right? It's like get your energy. And so definitely if you're trying to get opportunities, picture.
Is that the same way when you're on meetings at work? You should have your face showing, because when you're on your Zoom.
No. Girl, no. It just depends on no.
You're like, you know who I am. I'm here.
We already know who you are. If there's 4 of us, then my video is gonna be on. But if it's like 80 of us, girl, you don't need to see me.
I know that. I put a picture up in the Zoom, so it depends on how I'm feeling. Because some days I'm like, I'm just got my hair full bag, no makeup, like you good. You hear my voice.
Oh my God. Amazing. So what would you tell your 8-year-old self?
Oh gosh. I'm like, first of all, where was I at 8 years old?
Exactly. That's why we ask this question, because it's like,
God's got you.
Okay. I like that. God's got you.
God's got you. I love that. I love that.
And we do have to definitely stand on faith, because I know many times when I've been on, some serious times on a job where I'm like, Lord, I don't even know I can make through it. People like, well, how did you push through? Faith. I probably had to put on some of my inspirational music because I'm like, I'm gonna get through this day. So yeah, we definitely need to, reach out to the Most Highs to give us that strength and faith to reach our best selves. And this has been an amazing conversation with you, Dr. Tega. We so appreciate you. Can you let our listeners know, give us your social media? How could they reach you? Because I'm sure people are definitely going to be chiming into this.
That's what I was going to say. After you reach out to the Most High, you need to reach out to Dr. Tega. That's all.
You're like one and then two. On social media, you can always find me, Her Career Doctor. So on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I'm Her Career Doctor. If you go to hercareerdoctor.com, you'll find my website. If you are wanting to, if you're maybe everything we've said has resonated for you and you're thinking, okay, I need to get that clarity that I mentioned, I do have a complimentary guide. It's the Fulfilling Career Guide. So if you go to fulfillingcareerguide.com, all you just do is put in your name and email and you get access, and it walks you through the 5 steps to find a meaningful career. So those would be the main things I would share.
Nice. Oh my God, this has just been great. I would recommend all of our listeners, even if you're not at a crossroads, just put her on your Rolodex. You never know when you might just have that moment where it's like, wait a minute, I need to talk to someone, because I felt that you could probably save my life had I had known about you about 7 years ago. But it's brought us up to what we do now. I'm happy, healthy, and whole. Nobody can break me down. I know that I'm dope, even when I'm not dope.
You're always dope.
Thank you. Well, we really enjoyed you. To all of our listeners, again, Her Career Doctor, go to all of her websites, her social medias, and we so appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.